Hello everybody, Pankaj here. Welcome to SAP Production Planning session number 3. I hope you can see my screen and I'm audible also. Could you please someone unmute and confirm Ash?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible and I can see your screen.
Very good. Thank you very much, Ash. Okay guys, so today we will go ahead with our session number 3. In our last session, we were supposed to do our end-to-end production planning process flow, but it's got spill over. So in today's session, we will start with that. But before going ahead, we will quickly recap our last session. In our last session, actually, we discussed about SAP different modules, where production planning is the module for what we are supposed to do our end-to-end training. Also, we discussed logistics end-to-end process flow. Okay, this the agenda or the basic intention to explain this thing to have a knowledge, because in our training session we might have the candidate might have very fresh in the industry to visualize them what kind of process and how actually it operates in the logistic flow operates in the company. To make him understand, we discuss the logistics end-to-end process flow, where you start from customer demand and it's end up with your full demand fulfillment. So customer will come up as a sales order or demand that will go to the material requirement calculation. Then it creates the purchase requisition for the raw materials. Vendor will supply that, PR will be converted to PO. Then vendor will supply that material. Once raw material is available, the production people can start their production process by consuming that raw material and get the finished material out. And then finally, that finished material will be delivered to the customer against the sales order. That's how logistics end-to-end process flow work. Then we started discussing for the production planning module, and we discuss for the production planning master data. So basic production planning master data is material master, bill of material, work center, routing, and production version. And also we discussed how the work center and the controlling finance PPCO module integration was during the master data. What are the mandatory things that are required to create a work center? Before creating work center, we need to create the jail account, secondary cost element, primary cost element. Then we need to create the different activity types. That activity types will be assigned to the cost center by using activity price planning. Once this is done, then we should go and create the work center. And with the help of that work center, we can create the routing. Finally, the bill of material and routing will be clubbed together in the production version. If we are having alternate bill of material or alternate routing, we can create the multiple production versions, and then we can go for the product cost estimate. After that, we can go and start our production planning process basically. So the basic PP master data, if anyone can ask in your interview or something, any that kind of question, the basic PP master data is the material master, then bill of material, then work center, then routing, and finally the production version. Okay, for the discrete manufacturing basically we are talking about. Now we will go ahead and we will see how production planning end-to-end process work. Okay, so that you will get visualize the process flow of the production planning, and you can easily utilize the the master data and the production planning process linkage, right? Then we will move ahead from that. So before going ahead, I just want to know if you have any kind of question on our last session on the master data or something. You can ask it now before I start our next point. Any questions? You can unmute and you can ask. Okay. So we will start with SAP production planning end-to-end process flow. We discuss the PP master data. Once we are set up with all the PP master data, this is actually one-time activity. You must know the master data in the material, so in the any system is the one-time activity. And whenever there are new materials and new work centers or new production lines are coming up, we used to create that master data, but it's a one-time activity. Once it's done, then it will be handed over to the business. Okay, and business will start working his day-to-day transactions, right? And now we will discuss at a very high level how actually SAP production planning process or SAP production planning flow works. Okay, so normally in SAP, if we are talking about the planning starts with two type of planning methodology. One is make to stock, right? You must know that make to stock. And the second one is make to order. I'll put it here as a make to order. At a very basic difference, I'll talk here right now for the make to stock and make to order. Although in our training session, we will discuss each and every planning strategy in very detail. Okay, different kind of planning strategies over there. So basically, what happened? Business is planning the production, or business is planning the production process based on the customer requirement. So there are two kind of customer requirement. If I'm talking about the industry like boiler manufacturing, okay, in that case the business or any company cannot go and create boiler and keep it in the stock, and whenever sales order will become, it will get delivered. The boiler will be delivered or manufactured basically as per the customer requirement. Hence the business will wait unless and until there is a sales order. We business cannot start their production planning process for that, right? So this is called the make to order. Once sales order will come, based on the sales order, we will do the production planning, we will do the material requirement planning, and we can start the production process. But there are some products called make to stock. Any food industry or car manufacturing industry and this thing, they have their fixed variant, right? And business company used to manufacture that product, keep it in the stock, and whenever sales order is coming, okay, that will be get delivered to that against the sales order, and the billing will be happen. Now what we will do, we will start discussing with make to order first, then you will ultimately come to know how make to stock also work. Okay, so as we discuss, as we said, in make to order scenario, first step that has to be come in the system and is nothing but your sales order. Unless and until there is no sales order, let's say, we cannot start our production planning, right? Once sales order is come, first anyway, we have a master data created in the system, and for the finished material, whatever we have created, customer used to send a sales order. That's what we discuss here in the process flow, right? Somewhere here, customer is coming up with some requirement. If there is no requirement, we are not supposed to start my production. So in the make to order scenario, we will wait for the customer sales order, and that's what we are talking about here as a sales order. Once sales order is there, what we will do, we will go and run material requirement planning. That is the net requirement calculation we have discussed in very detail in our one of the demo session. But again, we will discuss in detail once we will go ahead with our end-to-end process flow. Okay, so we used to run material requirement planning based on the sales order. So what system will do, system will go and check, okay, what is the sales order quantity, is there that material is already there in the stock. Ultimately it should not be. If I'm talking about make to order, this material cannot be there in the stock, right? That we need to anyway go and manufacture. At this point in time, based on the bill of material what we have created here, okay, I'll go one step here. We have a finished material for that customer is looking for something. Based on the bill of material, when we will run the MRP system, explode the bomb, and we'll check what is the same finished material required, what is the raw material required, right? The same thing will happen here. Once MRP will be happen, what system used to do, system used to check the net requirement calculation, whether stock is available. If not, system find out the shortages, and for that shortages, ultimately, finally, system come up with two things. It's called procurement proposal. One is, I'll put it here as a, one is purchase requisition, right? And the second one is, what is that? Second one should be plan order. What is the difference in that? PLA order, okay? The material, the product which we are manufacturing in-house, for that system will create the plan order. And the material which we are purchasing from the outside vendor, system will create the purchase requisition. Now this purchase requisition is automatically created, or a plan order is automatically created. So based on the purchase requisition, procurement or material master guys will go and create the purchase order, right? Purchase order. Sorry. So that time, so purchase requisition is just an internal document that can be changed. The quantity can be changed, date can be changed, right? So if purchase requisition is saying to purchase 100 quantity, so business the procurement guy can also take an example or take a decision to increase the quantity over there and create the purchase order on behalf of that. Okay, before that he will go and do the vendor allocation or vendor. There are, let's say there are multiple vendors. He will go the vendor evaluation process, and that could be within the system or outside the system. But this part will fall under the materials management module, right? So basically, people will do, they will create the purchase order, and that purchase order will be sent out to the vendor. Correct? I'll put here as a vendor. Oh, sorry. Then what happened? Vendor is vendor responsibility to get the material and give it back to the. And this is nothing but goods receipt against. I'll put it here as GR only. Okay, goods receipt against purchase order, right? Vendor will supply the raw material. We will do the GRN and keep it in the stock. Now raw material is there in the stock. I'll give this with some different color, because this process is the P2P process. Okay, procurement to plan, or P2P, or materials management. I'll give this color. The blue color is basically for materials management, and this make to order or sales order, that will fall under sales department. Sales people will go and create the sales order, right? I'll give the sales order with this color. Now, based on sales order, we PP production planning people did the MRP run, and we found the plan orders. Okay, now we have raw materials available. Once raw material is available, or before that also, the production people or production planner will check the plan machine capacity with on which day machine is available to produce the material, right? He will check the requirement date, demand date from the customer. System also propose the basic plan order dates. If the requirement is, let's say, on 30th, okay, on, let's say, this month 30th, and to manufacture this many component we need two days, system automatically says, okay, in that case you need to start your production by 28, and it can be end on 29, so that you can deliver it on a 30th. So that's how plan order start and plan order end date will be created automatically in the system. But as we discussed in our yesterday's session, like our SAP planning engine or MRP planning engine actually does not work on the constraint base. Okay, it not actually consider the capacity constraint, and it's used to overlap the capacity or overload the capacity on the same machine. So it's planner job to check the plan orders, to check the requirement, and to check the current available capacity, and based on that he will do the capacity planning and capacity scheduling, and he could change the plan order date also by pulling the order from one day to other day, or he can simply go and convert the plan order to production order, okay, by changing the date. That is also possible, right? Production order. Now this is the production part. Now production order is there, but it's just created. Okay, it's not yet released to the shop floor, and it's not actually, maybe the scenario like for weekly the planner is coming and creating the production order for a whole week, okay, on day basis, and only he will release the production order on that specific date, so that the shop floor guy or shop floor supervisor will pick that production order and start the production, and the next production order is still in the created state, not in a release state. And that's the reason in SAP we do have one more step available to release the production order. Okay, I'll put it here as a release production order. So that so basically what happened in the real time scenario, we can create the production order and release the production at the same time. That is also possible, but we do have that option. You just create the production order, okay, and once you find like raw material is available, or based on the actual capacity or actual timings, basically actual machine available capacity or the real constraint situation and the shop floor, that production manager used to release the production order and hand over it to the shop floor to start the production. So basically, when we release the production order, it's a firm production order that has to be started. The actual production order output, printouts and that things will get printed out, and that printout will be handed over to the production supervisor on the or line manager or someone who is there. So this is then intimation for that person or for that planner to start the actual production or start the machine and get the production outside, right? Now, when we are releasing the production order in SAP, we do have different kind of functionality. Like system will check before release whether my raw material is there in the stock. If not, system will say, hey, raw material is not there. You cannot release your production order. That facility is also there. But sometimes what business is saying, hey, I don't want to check the raw material availability while releasing the production order. System should allow me to release the production order because anyway the raw material is supposed to come from the vendor and I don't really care about that. So I don't want any system restrictions over there. So while releasing, we can have a different kind of things. We can check the material availability, we can get the printout, right? So these kind of things will be happen at the releasing. Also, we can get the printout of the production order. We do have a automatic setup, like if I click on a release and save, system will automatically give some printouts or specified printer, right? Or I can go and manually also take the printouts for that production order. So that all possibilities are there. So basically, releasing production order is nothing but is an intimation to the shop floor guy to start the production or to start the machine. Now, once production order is released, printout is handed over to the production supervisor. What is next actually production person or production supervisor used to do? He used to tell the operator, okay, you need to start the machine and you should get raw material from the store. Otherwise, without raw material, you cannot start the production, right? Then he used to give the production order number, okay, to him, or maybe the printout is with him. He can go to the store to get the raw material. He'll pull the raw material to the production storage location, right? And then he can start the production. If it's an automatic process, so these are the backend different process. That's what we discuss here. Okay, I'm sorry, uh, somewhere here, right? Raw material is there. He can go and pull the material to your location and he can start the production. So it's nothing but stock transfer. So when the store people or store person issues the raw material to the production line, he will not actually do the goods consumption. He will just transfer the stock from here to here, whatever that person is asking. This is one step. Or we can have a direct consumption. I don't like there are some cases like I don't have this kind of sticks. Okay, this kind of process. So he can do the directly goods issue to the production line also. That maybe we will see when we'll run the scenario. But the if you try to just visualize, my raw material is available at the store, and now production order is released, and actually that production person has to start the production. Then he will go to the store, he'll get the material and he'll start the production. At the shift end or day end, he will say, okay, this much production order is done or this much production is confirmed. It's called confirmation. Or I'll put it here as CNF, confirmation of order. The production person at the shift end or day end, he'll say, okay, the production order quantity was 100, but I could complete 50, okay, 50% of the order, or maybe production order quantity was 1000, but in today's shift I completed 700 or something. He will confirm the quantity, how much he has configured. At the same time, it's his responsibility to tell how much raw material I consume from there, right? So it's nothing but, goods issue. Goods issue to order, correct? And third thing is he has to tell how much he has manufactured, and it's nothing but good receipt. So these are the three steps that production people normally we used to fill the production report on the shop floor, right? So what he actually filled over there, this much production order I confirm. Okay, I run machine for say 7 hours. Then he'll tell, okay, when I'm doing this much raw material I issued to the production order, right? And he'll also tell this much production I have completed and kept it in the stock, right? So it will be like this. Confirmation is nothing but three things are happening. One is the production completion, how much machine I have run. how much output, and how much issued. So these three steps will happen. If there is no raw material, he cannot start production. That's the reason at the time of production order release, there is a SAP configuration available where SAP can restrict you to release the production order because raw material is not available. So this is the step at a very high level, you can visualize it. So basically once GR is done, that means I am having a finished material stock. Now there is a sales order. For that sales order, we can simply go, or the sales people can simply go and deliver the material and fulfill the customer requirement. And this is nothing but goods issue to the sales order. This is nothing but goods issue to the production order. And this is the production order confirmation, right? Now, once this is done, what we used to do now, let's say the production sales order quantity was, I'm just taking an example of 100. Okay, system has created the plan order for 100. We have created the plan order to production order of 100. At the shift end, we came to know we all 100 has been completed. So we have done the GRN of 100, let's say. That means this production order is fully delivered. Now we no need to do anything extra things with this production order. And someone should not go in the system and he should do some extra goods issue or good receipt to that production order. So if we feel the business requirement is like that, if my order is fully delivered, if my order is fully confirmed, if my all goods issue transactions are clearly happen with that order, we should do go and complete this order. Is called technically complete. Okay, I'm putting it as technically completion of the order. That step has to be happen. That step definitely it will fall under PP and CO integration. I'll just explain what is the meaning of that. Okay, so the next step is we need to define this production order as a TECO. Once that production order is defined as a technically complete, that means the finance people or FICO people will have get the they will get the intimation from that order. They can pull all technically completed order and do the settlement. What is that settlement? Where they will easily find out, okay, what is the plan order, what is the plan order quantity, what is the plan issue for that, what is the actual issue for that, what is the actual GRN for that, and what is the value for that. For that, what is the plan versus actual variance? It's nothing but my settlement. So I'll put it here as a settlement, where we basically calculate the WIP, we basically calculate the variance for that production order, and we used to settle this variance to the variance account so that our finance controller can easily go in the system at the month end or maybe the day end or maybe the weekend or maybe the quarterly, and he can check what is the different production order we have started, what was the different production order we have done in this month, what is the plan versus actual variance for that, whether we have running our factory for that specific material in the profit or loss. So this is nothing but my COPA analysis, profitability analysis, I can say here. Okay, with the help of this settlement, finance controller can easily do the profitability analysis. This is actually the end of my end-to-end production planning. So if you are looking here, I'll just put some things here. If we are taking an example of sales order to this is nothing but my demand management. Okay, demand management, where we used to get the demand as a sales order. Then we are running MRP is nothing but my material planning. MRP is called MRP, material requirement planning. Then below that, when I'm creating plan order to production order, releasing confirmation and this thing, this is nothing but my production order execution. Production execution, right? And finally, we are doing the profitability analysis after takeover. So this process, what we are talking about, it could be called as a month-end activities also. Okay, at the month end, we used to find out in this whole month how many production order created. All production order has to be takeover. We need to check all production order goods issue and goods receipt have happened correctly. It should not be like there are 10 raw material that we need to issue and someone has issued only 9 in the system, but in actually he has issued the 10. So that missing one material that has to be issued to that specific order before takeover. doing the technically complete. So this is nothing but the COGI that we will discuss once we run the cycle. Okay, where we can check the post processing record. Each and every order is a production planner responsibility to check all the goods issue and goods receipt has been happened correctly, and then it has to go for the technically completion and the settlement. So I'm intentionally putting some different color. So TECO and settlement will fall under FICO, where they will do the profitability analysis. After that is called production order cost analysis also. Okay, order cost analysis I'll put here. Now this is the process what we were talking is my make to order. Now what is there in make to stock, how it works? Okay, I'll just quickly go to the make to stock and then we will try to find out the difference in that. Okay, now here we have started our production with sales order. But let's say I'm manufacturing some product which is manufactured, kept in the stock, and then it has, let's say it's a car manufacturing engineer. I should not wait for the sales order to start my production or start my MRP run, right? In that case, what we can do, we will get, we will plan the material based on plan independent requirement. Without sales order is called as a plan independent requirement. Okay, I'll put it here so that plan done requirement. Give a little bit this thing. Okay. So what is the plan independent requirement? Production guys or production people will start their production without considering any sales order. That means they must have some sales forecast or they must have some future production plan with them. So normally what happen in the make to order kind of scenario company, we used to check the past history, sales history. Based on that, we business come up with the sales forecast, so future sales forecast. So maybe in the last year we have done this kind of sale, the customer requirement or basically one for they demanded for this kind of product majorly. So we need to plan this product in advance, right? Or for the future. So we should not wait for the sales order for that. They can create the sales forecast. Based on that, they can create the plan forecast, okay, production planning. And that production plan, that forecast will be give system as an input as a plan independent requirement. This plan independent requirement is nothing but the starting for the production planning, that is MRP. Okay, based on the plan independent requirement, we will run the material requirement planning. So this PIR creation and MRP will fall under PP module. That's why I have kept blue color. Sales order is different, but here I'm not having any sales order. I'm planning my production based on my sales history or forecast. Then MRP run will happen. In the MRP run system will check, okay, for this week or for this month, this is the finished material and this is the finished material that we need to produce. For that, the same way, what system will do? System will create the plan order. Okay, I'll put it here. And this cycle also, it will be the same. Now what I'll do, I'll put the same cycle here. System will create the purchase requisition for the raw materials, then PR to PO, same way, and PO to GRN. Okay, that PO will be sent to the vendor. Vendor will come up with the raw material and give it back to the stores. Okay, now this is very crystal clear, like raw material is coming for me. Now based on the plan order, we are based on the plan independent requirement, system is proposing the plan order for the in-house material, in-house manufactured material, that is plan order. The next process will be same. Then we will convert the plan order to production order, right? Production order. Then we can release the production order to start the production. We will get the shop floor paper or printouts for that production order that will be handed over to the supervisor. Then at the month end or shift end day end, we'll come up with how much he has been confirmed. So this is nothing but confirmation of the order, same process, right? Then at the same time, we need to tell him how much we have issued it. goods issue. At the same time, we need to tell how much we have done the good receipt. So what I'll do, I'll just put these things here so that, sorry. Okay, the next steps are exactly same what we discussed there. It will be more easy to understand. Just a minute. Okay, then good receipt to the order, right? And now what is the basic difference that you can easily understand here? I'll just join these arrows, release production order, then confirm production order. Once confirmation is done, we need to play the transaction for good receipt, then goods issue. This goods issue will be happen from the raw material which is available in the store, right? That's it. Now, once this material is there, we will be able to sell this product to any incoming sales order. It's not just the sales order which is there because it's a make to stock, right? And let's say I'm having two sales order available. Okay. I'll just give an example. I'm having sales order one, sales order two, okay, for the same product, and these are two different customers. Let's say sales order two, and I'm having one more sales order as a sales order one. We are able to deliver this material to any sales order in this scenario. It's called make to stock scenario because it's not dedicated. But in this case, let's say I'm having one more sales order. I'm talking about here. The sales order number is, let's say, sales order 001. Okay. At the same time, there is one more sales order come during the production. I have one more sales order, that is sales order 002. Okay. And that customer is saying, hey, this is very rush order and I need this product the same way. But since we have planned this material against this sales order, GRN will be happen with the production order as well as there will be the sales order reference always. So when you are trying to deliver this material to this sales order, system will not allow you to do. System say, hey, this material is specifically manufactured for that sales order for that customer and you cannot deliver to some other. Okay, because this is the make to order scenario. But in case of make to stock, we have planned the material based on our own forecast, sales forecast, and we, if we have map make to stock scenario, system will not restrict you when you are selling this material to any incoming sales order or any incoming customer. System will say, okay, you can deliver this material to this customer as well as this customer. It's up to you. Based on the rush order or based on the priority, you can deliver. So this is nothing but my make to stock. If I'm talking about car, there is no customer requirement. This is my fixed product, right? If I'm saying about any food industry, okay, where we are manufacturing some ready to eat or ready kind of products, right? We are just manufacturing and keep it in the stock. We are not waiting whether it's a Walmart, whether it's a any other customer like Amazon or something. We are able to give it. But here in this case, in this kind of scenario, system will not allow you to sell the product which you have manufactured to some other customer. It will always bind with the sales order number. Okay. So here the GRN with production order and reference will be always of sales order. Okay. But in this case, there is no reference of sales order. So this is the basic difference between make to order and make to stock. Now, the next process is same. What is that? You can go do takeoff at the month end and do settle. This is the same process as if order is completed, we will check whether order is fully confirmed and fully issued, right? Goods issue is done. Simply we can go and do the settlement. And again, the same way, business user or the finance controller can see each and every other profitability analysis and order cost analysis. So this is how actually the blue color what you see here is the product will fall under the PP module. Even this technically completion also we used to do in the PP. And in our training session, we are not only looking into this part, okay, we are supposed to discuss about technically completion, settlement, order analysis, because what is my personal experience, since it's a production order related, always the ticket or the issue will be raised for the PP person, okay. And if you are expert in that kind of profitability analysis and order, it's not in that much detail, okay, but at least at a high level you should know how production order settlement is happen, okay, and how your profitability analysis will be calculated, okay. That part also we will discuss. Now guys, I'll stop for a while here to know if you understand the end-to-end PB, production planning process flow, before going ahead. Any questions, you can unmute and you can ask it now.
Hello, Pankaj.
Yes.
Uh, excuse me. So, in case of make to order, okay,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's a configurable material or any other regular material, also,
Mm-hmm.
what
Mm-hmm.
we do is we assign the production order in the
Mm-hmm.
requirement class.
Mm-hmm.
So, in a way, we don't
Mm-hmm.
consider the MRP. We directly tell system to create the production order, right? And then probably that production order is given as a feed to the MRP to get whatever raw material or something is needed for that order.
Mm-hmm. 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 Okay. So see, in this case, you're talking about the configurable variant configuration scenario,
No, I'm
okay,
not
where
talking about variant config. I'm saying just make to order without variant
make to
config
order.
also.
So you are going to create the sales order, and at the time of punching the sales order, you will select, okay, this raw material you required, right?
No. I create the sales order, and
Mm-hmm.
in the sales order, I have the requirement, right?
Yes. How
Requirement
much is the
class.
requirement? Yes,
Correct.
requirement
No.
class. Correct.
Requirement class is a globally
Mm-hmm.
defined requirement
Yes.
class
Yes. That
for
will
the
be
transfer of
assigned.
requirement. Yeah.
And
So that,
okay. Yeah. Go
so
ahead.
in that requirement class, we assign actually the production order. So
Yes.
as soon as I create the sales order, it
System
triggers
will
my
create the
production
production
order.
order. Yes. So basically, this is an integration between production planning and sales, and that is actually we used to define at the planning strategy level also. Okay. So normally, what happen when I'm saying it's a make to order, and I'm saying it's a 20 number planning strategy, system used to create the plan order after MRP run. Now you don't want to create based on the sales order, you are directly jumping on the production order, right?
Yeah,
So for that, as you said, we do have a requirement class. That's right, where we assign it. So this kind of planning strategy like 81, 82 also available. Okay,
yeah,
if you are
yeah,
assigning
82,
that
yeah,
kind of planning strategy to the material, so you should not wait for the MRP and this thing. But in that case, your raw material planning will not happen. So majorly what happened, yesterday someone was asked the same question. My raw material is a consumption based material. Okay, I have always stock of raw material. In that kind of scenario, you can simply create the production order based on the sales order. Otherwise, what will happen, you will again end up with no stock situation, right? Or after production order, you need to run MRP to get the raw
yeah.
material
That's what I'm
requirement.
saying.
Yes,
So after
yes.
the production order, the
You
raw
can run the
material will be
MRP. Yeah.
consumed for the production order then.
Correct. So it's again the business decision how actually business want to work. Okay, and what is the right procedure to work for that. Now, based on sales order, you are directly jumping into the production order, and then you will directly consume the raw material. That means you are considering my raw material is a very common material, and this is always needed. So I should not wait for the kind of demand for that. Whenever I'm saying, okay, my raw material stock is going down, business procurement people will go in the market and procure the material. That kind of consumption based planning also happens. But
Yeah,
if you want to plan your finished material as well as raw materials in one go, you will have a MRP run. Based on that, system will do that kind of planning. So in that case, you no need to create separate requirement class and assign it in the sales order, right? In this case also, let's say you are working on 20 number planning strategy. You have created the sales order. System is running the MRP. That time your plan order, production order, these things when system is creating, that will always linked with this sales order. And that's what you are also doing. Okay, when you are creating the sales order, system is directly creating the production order for you, and that production order will be always linked with this sales order, right? The same scenario can happen in this fashion also. Even sometimes I'll give one example. Let's say I'm having a make to order scenario where I am going to manufacture my finished material exactly the same as per the customer requirement. Okay, that's the reason I'm using this 20th planning strategy. Also, there are some raw materials. Okay, there are some raw material. These are also the customer specific. If I'm purchasing some raw material from the vendor and I'm keeping it in the stock, someone should not come and use the same raw material for some other sales order. This could be the requirement. Okay, just that kind of requirement are also there. In that case, we should assign your purchase requisition, purchase order, and this GRN, raw material stock, against this sales order. Okay, in that case, what we used to do, we used to assign the planning strategy at a header level, and for the raw material we no need to assign the planning strategy. This raw material will be also planned against this sales order. Let's say I'm having a stock of raw material, I have purchased the raw material. Let's say, just take an example, there is a finished material I'm manufacturing. Okay, I'll just give you an example here so that you will understand. Let's say I'm having a finished material requirement, that is F, and to manufacture this F, I required R1. I do have R1 material already available of 100 quantity in the store. But when I am creating make to order scenario and I'm running the sales order with this sales order, system will create the plan order for that F. It plan order will be always assigned to the sales order. At the same time, system will go and check the stock. But since it's a make to order scenario, what system will say, hey, this stock is for something else. Okay, we cannot use their stock. In that case, system separately create the purchase requisition for that raw material, and that will be assigned to it. So although I'm having a raw material stock available in the unrestricted, it could be assigned to some other sales order 1001, and this sales order is 002. So for 002 system, again go and create the purchase equation, get the stock of 100 here. So this stock and this stock, although exactly the same, but it will be allocated with some different number. So that kind of scenario is also there. In that case, we can use this kind of, you cannot directly go and jump here, right? In that case, your raw material planning will be on a make to stock, right? And your finished material planning will with a make to order. Now, there are some times that sometimes business requirement is in the fashion also. My finished material should be make to order, okay? But my raw material is very common. I don't want sales order allocation here. Okay, that is also possible. In that case, we do have a collective individual indicator at a material master level. We can simply say, okay, this is collectively manufactured or collectively procured. So the material which is available here, we can use to any sales order production. So there are different kind of ways to plan it. So based on the business requirement, you have to map the scenario.
Yeah. So
Right?
the basically the thing with this scenario is, you know, I don't get the date available to promise date, right? Until that production order is there, right?
Yes.
So my schedule line is not confirmed until your
In the sales
MRP
order.
runs, your production order comes.
That's why we used to call it as a make to order. But this scenario,
No,
what
but
you
in
are talking,
when
yes.
I do, yeah, directly, I get it there. As soon
Yes,
as I
yes.
reschedule, retrigger the ATP, I
Retrigger
get
date.
the
That's true.
ATP date.
That's
And
true.
production order can always be given to, MRP, and
Yes,
whatever
and then
the
yeah,
raw material is needed, you
you
can
can go for
do
the
that.
MRP, and then system will create the
Yeah,
purchase equation and this thing. Yeah, that is possible. So it depends. That's what I'm saying. So basically, it's a business requirement on at what kind of at what level business want to do the ATP check, and how system want to really work. Both scenarios are possible. So I was
correct.
just trying to tell make to order and make to stock so that the people in our training, those who are actually very new to SAP, they can also try
Correct,
to
correct.
understand and
And I
correlate.
understand your point that
Yes.
if MRP is running and it's running for both make to order and
Mhm.
make to stock,
One time,
then probably you don't
no need
duplicate
to
your purchases.
requirement and
Yeah,
purchases. That's true. Yes. So these different kind of scenarios are there. Okay. Anyone apart from this, any questions? So there is a Venkat. He's asking, are we going to cover variant configuration? Yeah, Venkat, definitely we are covering. If you can go through our training curriculum, where we have very clearly mentioned we are going to cover variant configuration for make to stock, make to order, and also I am trying to cover make variant configuration for sales. Okay, where actually the sale cost get populate. That one also I'll try to cover it.
yeah. Pankaj, one more. So the business complete is needed after takeover or not needed on the production order?
Teco.
After takeover, do I
Uh-huh.
have some status as a business complete or something?
No, you can define your user status. Okay, these are the standard business, sorry, system status. But still, if you want, after Teco, there should have some different status, and you want to populate in the report, right? And the business Teco, then sometimes release to the production. So we have a release, but I want release to the production means something else. Okay,
Yeah,
that
based
kind
on
of
status
business
profile.
status you can, yes, you can create the business status profile and can be a 02, right? And in that you can definitely define that kind of status. But technically complete, and these are the very standard SAP system statuses, right? After
Yeah, but
takeover you
takeover
can
can
go.
be reversed, right?
Yes, retake. You can definitely
Yeah,
retake.
you can
So
cancel
when
and
you are actually doing the cost analysis and on 31st, okay, and that is reason we used to open one period behind, right? And we came to know, okay, for this order there are 10 items, where A, B, and C, three items of quantity 10, 10, and 10 that has to issue, and so that we are getting X material as an output of 10. But at the actual situation, what happened? User would have done only this, and this actually he get fails because of the raw material not available on the store, and it falls under kogi transaction or somewhere, right? That is why when he's the controller is doing the cost analysis, that time he came to know, okay, for that order I am getting huge variance, right? And it's a negative variance, and that has to be settled. Once you tackle it and settle, that will get settled to your order. Now your whole production order costing is something wrong, that you came to know at a later point in time. Then simply what we can do, we can retake it, okay,
yeah,
complete this transaction, issue it back, again go to the settlement. So here first time you are seeing negative variance, now you will have positive variance, it will be net off with zero. Okay, so that definitely you can do it. After settlement, we used to do the close production order close and this thing. Okay, that is also possible, but that is the year sometimes business used to do it very quarterly or something. They used to close all the production orders in the system.
yeah. Thanks.
Okay, yeah. Anyone, any question apart from this? Okay, guys, I intentionally took cover this part because in our earlier session we discussed in for what is SAP, what is this thing, right? Then we are supposed to work on the production planning module. So now we cover the basic of the production planning module, how actually the production planning process happens. That's the reason I used to create this kind of diagram every time. Okay, so that you can visualize the thing like how actually it happens. It could be a case study for you. Now, these are the planning steps, or these are the production planning steps that we are supposed to map, and we are supposed to run end-to-end cycle. And the just now you raised the question, like if I want to do sales order and direct production order, or if I want to use the make to stock. Now see, I want to club both the planning strategy, make to stock plus make to order. Is there any way? So there are planning with final assembly 40 number strategies. So there are different planning strategies: 40, 11, 10, 30, 20 is the make to order, right? 59. So what are these different kind of planning strategy? How it actually works? How your valuation class and these things will be assigned? That each and every planning strategy majorly we will try to cover in very detail. Okay, so that you will understand the planning procedures in SAP production planning, that we will discuss in our incoming session. Okay. Now, what I'll do, now we will go ahead with very basic things again, okay, to understand what are the different kind of projects that you are supposed to work after this training as a PP consultant. Okay, before going directly and jumping and creating the this enterprise structure and this thing. Okay, this will be very, those who are actually working, for them this is a repetitive for you, but the people who are very new to our session, they must know what kind of things are there in the SAP projects and all that things. Okay, so basically when we are working in any kind of industry for the implementation, we have two different kind of projects. Okay, one is the support project, right? And second one is implementation. Many times the people who are very new in SAP or fresher in SAP, they are saying, okay, I need to get a chance to work on the implementation only. And basically, it impact on your profile also. At the day and when you are creating your resume or profile, you used to tell, okay, how many end-to-end projects you have done, right? So it will be calculated, or so Anil is asking one question: are you going to cover PSPP integration? Anil, actually, to cover the PSPP integration, we need to create all PS project structure and all that things. But PS and PP integration, what we are talking about, is same like your make to order. So in case of make to order, we are having a sales order, and from that sales order you are planning and getting the material out. The same way in case of project, in project, when we are creating the project and activities, okay, for that activities we are assigning your finished material. When we run the MRP, system will create the plan order, and that plan order will be assigned to your that WBS element. So the scenario is same, but we are not able to create the project structure and this thing. But still, what I'll do to show you how it actually works, although it's the same, I'll try to cover that part also. Okay, we will try to create one WBS, one project, dummy project, and from that dummy project we will try to do the production planning, so that you will get an idea. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, good. So when we are talking about different kind of projects, okay, one is the support project, where we actually SAP has been already implemented, right? And we are just doing on the ticket base, whatever issues are coming, day-to-day issues, we used to solve it. If anything related to configuration, we used to do the configuration, test it in the quality, and again move it to the production. So that kind of activities are happening in the support project. If we are talking about implementation, in implementation there are different kind of varieties. In especially I'm talking about now S/4HANA. Okay, the first thing what I'll put it here, like, okay, I'll put it as a 2.1, and you must heard this kind of name like greenfield implementation, right? First one is greenfield implementation project. Second one is, any idea, guys? Conversion project is also called as a brownfield, and putting it as a conversion project. Okay. Third one is rollout projects, right? I'll put here as a rollout. And rollout project. Also, there is one thing that is called upgrade project. What is the difference in that? Many times people are always getting confused. Okay, those especially who are very new to SAP or upgrade. Those who are already working on SAP in any other module, they must know about this thing. Okay, what are the different kind of projects available and what is the meaning of that? Okay, I'll just give very high level information. Okay, rollout and finally upgrade. So normally when we are talking about greenfield project, greenfield implementation project is nothing but the business is having any legacy or any SAP ECC or any other ERP. I'm talking about SAP ECC or any ERP. Okay, ERP system available, and we are implementing SAP S/4HANA for them. I'm sorry, SAP S/4HANA. So these kind of projects are called as a greenfield implementation. That means maybe business is already working on SAP, but now they are going ahead and implementing SAP S/4HANA. Current system is, let's say, SAP 6.0, okay, and we are implementing SAP S/4HANA. So that could be called as a greenfield. Now we can see, okay, right now we are already having, let's say, SAP. Already client is working on SAP, and we are again implementing on SAP S/4HANA. Then why we used to call it as a greenfield implementation? There is one more scenario. I'll put it and I'll try to explain the thing. Okay, the same thing is the upgrade project. Sorry, conversion project. Conversion project is nothing but business is already working on SAP ECC and we are implementing SAP S/4HANA. Guys, can you tell me what is the difference between that then? Here also I'm having ECC and I'm implementing SAP S/4HANA. Here also I'm having ECC and I'm implementing SAP S/4HANA. Then why we are calling it as a conversion, not greenfield? And what is the basic difference? Anyone? Any idea? Very high level mm, difference. Anyone can tell me? Okay, I'll tell you. So basically what happened, let's say I'm having a ECC available. I'm scrapping the ECC, whatever available there. I'm not talking about the process. I'm talking about the basic master data and my transaction data. When we are saying it's a greenfield implementation, your transaction data, your historic transaction data, okay, will not be available in SAP S/4HANA. I'll again repeat the same question. Let's say I'm having already vendor master, customers, material master, bill of materials. I'm already having some last purchase history and all that things. Okay. When I'm saying it's a greenfield implementation, the last purchase history and this thing will not be available in the SAP S/4HANA. But when we are saying, okay, I'm having already ECC 6.0 or 7.0, and I'm converting this SAP ECC to SAP S/4HANA, that means we will convert all the master data as it is. Here, maybe in ECC, my raw material master nomenclature is something like 10000. But when I implement to SAP S/4HANA, I'm saying, hey, I'm not okay with this kind of material number range. I want raw material 00001, that kind of nomenclature I want. So I'm scrapping this code. I'm not converting the same code here. I'm creating a new material code, new BOM, new routing and everything. At the same time, if I'm having any purchase history, purchase orders, open purchase order and this thing, that will not be available now in SAP S/4HANA because we need to create a fresh. So what we used to do, we used to do the cutover. What is the current stock we will upload with this material instead of this material, and whatever any open PO we used to create with this. And if I want to take any history, okay, what is the last year purchase history for that material? I'll not be able to get it here, right? Because I have a new system available and I don't have any historic data. But if you are talking about conversion project here, when I'm saying it's a ECC to S/4HANA and it's a conversion project, here what we used to do, this material code will be exactly moved here, and the purchase order history and purchase transactions history, that will be also moved so that you will be available, so that you will get all the historic data. So when we are implementing any implementation for any client, this is very important decision has to take, because sometimes business don't know, business never know this kind of things. They never know like whether we should go for the implementation greenfield or conversion. Okay, so it's a consultant responsibility to tell business, okay, what is the difference in this and what is the drawbacks if you are going with rollout and if you are going with greenfield. Still, I have seen many companies or many clients, they are still going with greenfield implementation only. Okay, they are saying, okay, for that they will ask, okay, is there any other way around how to do, or how to manage this historic data. In that case, we used to tell them, okay, we can copy the historic data, we'll put it in some other server. Whenever you want, you can pull it from there. Then how to do it? We can keep that in some database. And whenever they want, we can create the BI reporting tools or BI reports project that they can pull the historic data from that database to do any sorting or identification or any analysis. But in greenfield implementation at very high level, you will not find any historic data. In conversion project, you will have a historic data. That's why I'm saying here, it can be possible from any ERP. If I'm saying ECC any ERP, then it's a greenfield implementation, because any ERP or any legacy system is not directly integrated with the SAP S/4HANA, right? That is the basic difference between conversion and greenfield project. Now, if I'm talking about the rollout project, I'm going ahead, I'm talking about the rollout project. What is that? This is very straightforward. We do have SAP S/4HANA, let's say, S/4HANA for USA plant or USA factory. And now we are implementing SAP S/4HANA, same processes kind of. Let's say I'm having one more factory, UK. I'm rolling out the business process, whatever we have implemented. Definitely, we will do some changes while implementing, but this is kind of rollout. Now, then, what is the upgrade? This is also very simple. This is coming from our ECC only. Upgrade is nothing but I do have SAP S/4HANA version 1610, right? Sorry, 1610. Now I'm upgrading the version from 1610 to, let's say, 1909. So this basic difference has been came only after SAP S/4HANA in the market. Conversion, and you must heard this kind of conversion project, greenfield implementation. So this is the basic difference. If you have any bad ECC, now when we are talking about the conversion, I'll put it here, okay? When business is taking a decision to go for the conversion and not for the implementation, it's the consultant responsibility to tell business that if you have a bad ECC, I'm saying bad ECC system available, okay, it will get exactly converted to bad HANA. What is bad? Like, let's say there are some wrong processes we are following, or your raw material nomenclature. Just take an example. It's not, you are creating internal number ranges and business is struggling a lot to identify the raw material. So that will get exactly copied to your SAP S/4HANA. So it's a implementation consultant responsibility to tell business, okay, if you are going with SAP S/4HANA conversion project, this is one of the drawback. And what is the next one? Next drawback is historic data. You will find out historic data here, but here you will not be able to find out the historic data. Okay, guys, any questions on that? It's a very simple terminology that I just want to explain before going ahead. Okay, now there is one more thing. Okay, the people who are actually working on SAP, please bear with us, because in our training session there are so many people who are very fresh. Okay, so we need to explain this thing to them before moving and going ahead. Different users. The many consultant, whenever I used to take an interview, many people are saying I'm having this many experience in SAP environment, but they are not able to really tell what is the basic difference between different kind of users. Okay, so when any implementation or any SAP environment you are looking after, there will be always two team. One is the business team and one is the consulting team. Okay, and in the business team, basically, what are the different users? There is one user who actually use or who actually run different transaction on SAP. That users are called end users, right? End users. Then there are some users who are little bit more matured or more experienced on SAP screen, and we used to call them as key users. Key users, or we also call it as a core users or super users. So basically, these users have more authorization than the end users, and they are the core business users. They are actually providing the business inputs, and based on that, the implementation or the business mapping used to happen. Now, if you're talking about the consulting team, in consulting, we do have one functional consultant. Okay, and the second is technical consultant. This is very basic, but we need to understand how it. Technical consultant. Now we will just discuss on that. We know end users who actually run end-to-end cycles. Okay, they don't know more about the business process, how it has been mapped and this thing. And whenever they used to have any kind of issue, they used to come to the key users, and key user try to fulfill and close that issue. Okay, that means they are actually giving the training to them. Now, what is the functional consultant doing? The functional consultant actually working and talking to the key users, get the requirement and map it in SAP. Okay, get the requirement for that and map it in SAP. Now, what happened when they came to know, okay, there is a business requirement that we need to map. Functional consultant knows what is the capability of SAP, but there are some requirement where we are not able to fit the requirement. In that case, functional consultant need to talk to the technical consultant. What is the technical consultant? It will be the ABAP consultant, Fiori consultant, or basis consultant. I'm talking. Functional consultant are PP, MM, ESD, different module consultant. Now, what happened? Key functional consultant talking to the key user. He came to know he came back with some requirement. Okay, I want to map this scenario like this. And now functional consultant get the information like this is not possible. And just this is not possible in the standard SAP. For that, what we functional consultant used to do, you know, RICEF, R equal to, I'll just put it here, RI, then C, then okay, RIC, just a minute, guys. Okay, then E, then F, then W, and nowadays new thing is added as a F. We will discuss on that. Any requirement which is not able to fulfill in the standard reports or something, for that R is nothing but reports, right? I is nothing but my interface. C is conversion. E is enhancement. F is forms. W is workflow. And this is the F newly added, that is Fiori. So basically what happened, I'll just give some different color for that. Okay. Basically what happened, based on the business requirement, functional consultant identified, check the SAP capability where SAP is able to fulfill that requirement. If not, functional consultant used to create that RICEP list. Okay. This is nothing but the development list. For that, he will create the functional specifications. Okay. FS, I'm putting it here. Based on that RICEP, functional consultant need to create the functional specifications, and that functional specifications will be given back to the technical team, so that technical team implement that scenario or that additional developments. Again, come back to the functional consultant to do the testing. This is how it's work actually. Then functional consultant used to test it. If it is okay, he will go back to the key user, and then key user will go back and give it to the end user. There is one more thing. It's not only the key users or the end users are talking to the key user. There will be this scenario also. End users are directly talking to the functional consultant. This is also possible. So this is actually how different users interlink. This is very basic, but I just want to know if you have any kind of questions on that. Those who are very new, definitely it will be helpful for them. Those who are actually working on the SAP environment, they must know these things. So you know what is end users, key users, functional consultant, and technical consultant. So this is the role that we are supposed to play after this training. Functional consultant for production planning and manufacturing module. Any questions, guys, before moving? I hope it's very clear and easy to understand. Now we will discuss one more thing, that is the project methodology. Those who are actually working on SAP ECC earlier, they must know the project methodologies. Okay, what is ASAP methodology and what is Activate? Why SAP is coming with the Activate methodology, that we will discuss. Earlier in any implementation, we used to follow this methodology. It's called accelerated SAP methodology. That is preparation phase, blueprint phase. These are the different phases in the implementation. Preparation, blueprint, realization, final preparation, and go live. In the preparation phase, we used to identify the scope of business, what we are supposed to implement it, right? Then we used to, define the, get the people onboarding or hiring the consultant for that, or analyzing the people who are supposed to work on which module, right? It's a team formation basically. Then business blueprint stage happened, where we used to have a detailed requirement gathering. There was a standard questionnaire available on for SAP for that. We used to ask the different question to the business and prepare the as-is document. What is the current as-is process? Based on that as-is, we used to define as a consultant what is the to be in SAP, how it will look like. So we used to create as a to be document, as-is document, to be document. If there is a gap, we used to prepare the gap analysis document, right? And this is basically we all document. Based on that all document, we used to prepare the business blueprint. Once business blueprint is done, we used to start the third phase, that is realization, where based on the business blueprint and the cookbook, whatever we have prepared, we used to configure that scenario in the system. Okay, it's on the development system. And then slowly we start the testing. First, we start your unit testing, whether my all in-house, I mean, module specific scenarios are working. Then also we used to do the integration testing. If everything is fine, user testing, integration testing, we used to, do move everything to the quality. And again, we will have again one round of testing over there. And in that phase, actually, we start involving the business to show them how SAP is working. And we used to get the user acceptance test sign off from that. That is what we are mapping. That is what your current process, and that is how in future process will be happen. And that scenario that has been get sign off from the user, and we moved it to the next phase, that is final preparation. Final preparation is also kind of any bug fixings are there. Again, we used to have some kind of testing in the one environment with some realistic data, and then we used to upload the data and we in the system for the go live. Finally, once we are done with integration testing, everything done in the final, we used to do the go live. That was the very old methodology. Now SAP is saying this methodology was good when we were working on ECC. Now in SAP S/4HANA, we should not follow in that kind of things. What is the basic drawback in that methodology? The guys who are already working on SAP implementation and those who already worked on this kind of implementation project, can you tell me what is the drawback in this kind of methodology? Why SAP is coming with some Activate new? Any idea? We many times we heard like SAP is saying, okay, go with agile methodology now. Agile is nothing but your Activate methodology, where we used to use the agile methodology fundamentals. So in this methodology, the major basic drawback is we used to involve the business at this level. We used to tell business, we used to show business at this in the realization and testing. After realization testing, we used to run unit testing, and then we start involving business to show them this is how your process will look like. And that time maybe business is saying, hey, I am not actually looking for this. When business first time see the blue screen of SAP for, and he start doing the plan order, production order, release order, goods is good, that time he came to know, okay, I'm looking for something else. The same way what we were discussed now here. Just a minute here. I'm having this kind of scenario, but when I'm putting a sales order, system should directly go and create the production order. Okay, I don't want this plan order and these things to be happen. Maybe this kind of inputs business used to give us in this stage. And before that, we might have done the blueprint and this thing, and we have taken the sign off from that. And we might need to do some additional changes again in the configuration. And it's little, lengthy process. Again, go back and change some your business agreements are there, okay, between the implementation partner and this thing. Like if there are some changes we are not supposed to do, it should take in as a separate change request, and these things are happening, right? And that is why SAP is saying, instead of going with this kind of methodology, you should go with this methodology. Here, you will not end up with this kind of situation. You can start involving business at very initial level, okay? So what is this? Now I'm not going to talk more on the SAP methodology. We will be talking for the Activate. What is there in the Activate methodology? What actually we used to do? In the Activate methodology, basically, in the discover phase, what client used to do, client himself used to do the high level scope. What are the different modules needed, right? And what kind of the implementation strategy should be there. Client himself can do. For that, maybe client used to hire some solution architect on his payroll, and he used to, identify what are the different modules and this thing that has to be implemented. So the basically what happened in the discover phase, he try to find out the implementation partner for that, right? Also, at a high level, the client used to talk about the budget and these things, right? What kind of project methodology that he has to implement, like whether it should be a greenfield, whether it should be a greenfield or whether it should be the conversion. That kind of decisions client can take in this phase discover. So here this place, actually in this phase, client no need to involve the implementation partner. He can do by himself. So that's why SAP is saying, okay, activate methodology is actually having prepare, explore, realize, and deploy these pages. Okay, this page is not actually falling under any activate methodology, because in this case I no need to have an implementation partner. Earlier in SAP methodology, we need to involve implementation partner. From here we used to do kickoff in the preparation phase itself. Now once client find out, okay, whether we should run Fiori, all the transaction on Fiori or something, what are the different modules, what is the scope of modules, what is the scope of business, right? With the help of solution architect, client used to take all the decisions, and then he finalized, okay, which is the implementation partner that we should go with. Okay, there will be the bid between different implementation partner, and client himself can take a decision in this phase. Now when we move to the prepare phase, what exactly happened in the prepare phase is this one. This is actually in prepare phase, we used to do a kickoff of the project, okay, where detailed scope will be get discussed. Different project team will get onboarded, like your project manager, team lead, different module leads, ABAP teams. This kind of things will be get work on that, these kind of steps. Then in the prepare phase, we used to define the design plan. What is the design plan? What is the next step, that is explore? What is the explore plan? What is the training to the consultant? Because this is SAP S/4HANA, okay? And it's not necessary, like the people who are actually working on SAP ECC environment, they should know what is the best practices and what is the SAP S/4HANA. So sometimes we need to train the consultant also, those who are supposed to work on the implementation. And also we used to set up the master data plan for that, and the system setting up, where we used to set up the with different sandbox development quality. Also when we are implementing sandbox, we are getting the best practices available from the SAP. Okay, that also get implemented on your system. So these are the very basic things that will happen in the preparation phase. Once we are done with the preparation phase, we move it to the explore phase. And this is the very important phase where we actually start involving the business user. Okay, here also we are involving in the realization, but till date, when we are involving the business user in this phase, we haven't created any business blueprint document. Okay, in the preparation phase, I'm not saying here we are creating the business blueprint document. We haven't done any data requirement gathering, and we are just finalizing the scope here. Okay, in the explore phase, actually we used to sit with the business, we used to start the requirement gathering, we used to tell him how SAP work based on the best practices available in the sandbox. That means when we are talking to business for the requirement gathering, that time we are not only just asking the question to them, we are actually showing them the SAP standard best practices to the business. We actually try to show them in SAP itself how production order is created, how your end-to-end cycle is running. The same way what we have just explained, I have just explained end-to-end cycle, standard end-to-end cycle. Okay, it's not in a PPT. Actually in SAP itself, we used to show them with the best practices implemented by SAP. And then maybe at that point in time only business will come, hey, I don't want plan order, I just directly want to jump from sales order to production order, right? So if you try to, and that's what SAP is saying is agile methodology. Okay, I'll just jump here again, sorry. So with the help of this system implemented best practice, we will have a show and tell session to them, We will show them end-to-end cycle. Also, we will try to involve them and show them how Fiori screen look like, right? And if in that, if there is something which is not possible in SAP, we used to find out the fit and gap for that. So in the ASAP methodology, we are ending up with some critical situation once we start involving the business, and we may need to go back and again change the business blueprint and this thing. Here, that thing will not happen. During the explore phase only, we will show them the system, we'll get the detailed requirement. Again, if there is something different they want to do, we will try to map their scenario, again show them. That means we are involving business at very initial level so that business will also get aligned with the SAP based practices, and he will also start talking the SAP language, plan order, production order, and this thing. And that is nothing but your when it's everything is done, you can directly go and create the 2B analysis document or gap analysis document over there, right? Once business is okay while looking into the system, that means you no need to go back and that kind of situation will come where business is wanting something different, right? That is why it's a very important SAP is saying to go ahead with activity methodology instead of SAP. Here only we will come to know what is the RICEPs. That's what we discuss here. In the explore flow phase itself, we will try to find out what is the business requirement that we need to develop, right? And that point only, we will start involving the technical consultant itself. Okay, this is the RICEPs. These are the forms. These are the interfaces. These are the conversion objects. These are the enhancement that we need to put it based on the business requirement. This is not possible in SAP, so we need to develop it. Functional consultant used to prepare the functional specification and used to give it to the technical team, so that before going to realization phase only, we will be having all the things available in the system, even the development also. And we can show the business or the user exactly with the standard whatever we have developed. Okay, we can show the business the real end-to-end scenario after this phase only. But here in unit testing, then integration testing, then user acceptance testing, and then we are getting some issues like user is wanting something else. Again, we are going back here. We are again changing your gap document. Again, we are creating FS. That time it will be a little late for you. But in this phase, you are getting everything in the explore. So this is very, very important phase where your functional consultant will get involved. I'll just put here with little different color. Okay, from here only the functional consultant will get involved very deeply in each step. In the preparation phase, if I'm a PP lead, let's say I'm a module lead, okay, I no need to do anything in the preparation phase, right? See, they're doing the planning. This job is for TL and maybe PM. The functional consultant will majorly involve here. He will sit with business, do the fit and gap analysis and all these things. Also, he'll do the user training and prepare the documentation for that. Now this phase we are okay to go live, right? So what next? Now we are done. We have shown all the best practices to user and everything is fine. Even though I have find out all the RICEPs and everything that has been handed over to the functional consultant. Now this is the case where I just want to do the configuration. And I'm not really going to work with anybody because I have already finalized the process. Then I'm doing the, here we are doing realization at this phase. But in this case, after explore, once showing the best practices to the business, functional consultant will start configuration in the system, do the development for, and testing, and demo the scenario with RICEPs objects, with detail object development. Okay, that's what your PO output will be happen, and that's what we were. So we used to call it as a different ITC integration testing first, ITC second, ITC third. Like in first, we will do the functional consultant training it to the key users. Okay, maybe in the second we will train the key users and end users also, and finally we will end up with the integration testing. So these are three different phases. Somewhere we used to do integration 1 and integration 2 and done. Sometimes business is looking for three kind of implement, it depends on the methodology or it depends on the business scope. Like Sometimes business is asking, we need to have one more round of testing. We need to have one more round of show and tell session. And the time they are coming with, okay, I need something else. Immediately we can fix that issues. And again, we will go with next testing, right? That's how realize phase happen. Once in realization is done, configuration is done, everything is done. That's what I'm also again giving the same color for that, because this is majorly functional consultant involved will be there. Okay. Finally deploy it. That is nothing but your go live kind of things. It's a cutover. In the cutover also, we used to do mock cutover first. Okay, first we used to get all the master data and the transaction data and everything. We used to run mock cutover on the development or pre-production server, where we used to find out whether there are any issues, or after mock cutover we will do the cost estimate, we will do the inventory valuation and everything. All the figures will be get validated with the respective business owners. If everything is fine, then we can go with the actual cutover and upload the data. That is nothing but my kind of go live, right? Once I'm uploading it, this is my go live. Done. And finally support. So the major involvement of the functional consultant in these three phases. In ASAP methodology, we used to have involve the functional consultant everywhere, and still we will be ending up with some situations like this is not written in the blueprint, and still business is asking for that. But in this phase, we are not intentionally creating that kind of any blueprint or something. We are continuously in touch with the business. We are showing them the agile best practices to the business. We are trying to get the inputs, and based on that we are actually configuring. Here we are creating the document somewhere. Based on the document we are configuring. Here we are configuring based on the user experience and the expectations. And that's the why we will not end up with any kind of situation where business is wanting something else and we have configured something else. That is the major difference between ASAP methodology and Activate methodology. Guys, I try to explain Activate methodology at very high level. Once you start working on the project, you will get a very more detailed idea. There are so many things actually happening during the implementation. Okay, I'm not going in that details. Okay, but that's how actually your end-to-end implementation work. Now, guys, I'll stop here for a while to know if you have any kind of questions. Anything you can ask, unmute and ask. Okay. If you are okay with this, we will quickly move and we will now start exploring the SAP system. Okay. So we will start discussing on that part, so that in our maybe next session, we will directly go in the system and start, company code configuration and all that things. What is that? Basically user interface. Okay. We'll discuss a little bit on a user interface, since from here only we are actually jumping into the system, right? So guys, any idea about the interface? We already discussed, I guess, somewhere. What are the different kind of interfaces available? One is GUI, right? Second one is, there are three kind of interfaces. NWBC, network, NetViewer business client. And third one is, this is Fiori. So basically, GUI, graphical interface. This is nothing but with the help of this interface, user will be able to log into the SAP system or SAP server. This is nothing but the interfaces. Okay. One is graphical interface. One is NetViewer business client. And third one is the Fiori. Now, guys, if you see, when SAP was having SAP R2, that time the interface was very poor. And that's the reason when SAP came up with SAP R3, he came up with GUI screen. Then slowly it moved to the NetViewer business client. And then now it's a very well-known and important. SAP is also recommending to work on the Fiori. We will discuss how SAP moved or shifted from GUI to NWBC and NWBC to Fiori, and what is the basic difference at very high level. Okay. So basically, when we are talking about graphical user interface, first time when SAP came up with graphical user interface, okay, what is that? So when we are saying any user who actually want to log into system, he need to have a user onboarding process first. He needs to sign up something, and then we used to give him the GUI screen available on his screen. And if you see, it's my personal experience, even it took 4 to 5 days to get user onboarding with SAP, because he may need to create one request in the service now, then the IT person will get approved or manager will get approved, then IT person, he need to talk to that IT person, then he will run that GUI setup on his system, and then again he need to raise one more request to get the SAP access, right? And then it actually it's all the way around, it took sometimes 4 to 5 days of time. It's not like simply someone is coming and giving them. If I'm talking about a very huge implementation, right? That is the GUI, and that is actually the drawback when user, and also after he's getting the GUI interface on his screen, himself he cannot log in and do anything, because it's a GUI, SAP menu he can see, and there are so many transactions code and these things available in front of him. Definitely user will get confused because of this kind of screens. So if you are saying, if I'm using with GUI, I need to give some intensive training to the user, even how to log in. If you do remember, we used to give one document to user how to log in SAP system, right? Also, there is one major drawback. Your SAP screen, SAP GUI screen, once user login, is not a user adoption. Okay, user role adoption. If you, I'm just putting it here as a adoption. That means if MM user or PP user is logging, he should only see the production related information in front of him, right? But if he is trying to log in, I'll just go and maybe in our session, next session, we will log into the system. He will get all the information, all the transaction code, all SAP menu in front of him, and it will get confused. So the GUI screen, GUI login screen is not a user role specific adoption. Okay. Also, in GUI, we do have multiple transaction. Okay, multiple transactions codes like create bomb, right? Then change bomb, then display bomb. So there are different kind of transaction for each the thing. This is the drawback of SAP, and the user may need to uh, remember all the transaction or keep a note somewhere. Also, if you are talking about navigation, it's very poor navigation. You know how, if you are going to the production, then production order, then create production order, and below that also you are getting some different screens. I'll just logging here so that I'll try to explain you what I'm. Just a minute. My password, I need to know somewhere. What is my password? Just a minute. Just a minute. Okay. Good. See, this is the GUI screen what I'm talking about. Now let's say first time user is logging into the system. Okay. He's going anyway. We need to set up first logon pad. Then we need to go to his system and we need to set up these kind of things for him. Then he will be able to log in. But for that, again, he need to have a login ID password. For that, he may need to raise some separate request. Then he will be able to log in. Now, if user is logging, he's getting this kind of screen in front of you. Now, if you want to check the production related, he should go logistic, then production, then master data, then somewhere in the material master is there, or here is the bill material. In bill of material also there is something material bomb. In the material bomb there is a create change, and he's saying, hey, I cannot see the transaction code. Again, he need to, go some in the system and do the setups. Like you need to go to the setting, then he should display technical names, this thing. So the first time when user is logging, these kind of things he need to do by himself, and it took some more time to do, get the user onboarding process. So if you see the navigation of SAP GUI is really poor, right? Also, in this kind of system, like let's take an example. I'm the very fresh user and I'm just logging. I got all the access and everything. I'm not able to see what to do next now. What should I do here? Right? Always user will get confused, because the GUI system, what we are talking about, system will never tell user what to do next. This is the drawback of GUI. Also, your search functionalities is very poor. Now let's say here is the user login to the system, and user want to create bill of material, and he was getting hard time to find out where bill of material is created, where he can find out the how to create a bill of material, right? He may need to create the favorites with the help of some functional consultant, and maybe he can easily get the transaction codes available here. So the search functionality in this GUI is also very poor. Also, if you talk about some analytical reports, are very poor. As we discussed, our SAP system is just OLTP, online transaction processing, and you are not able to get any kind of analytical reports over there, some flow charts, or let's say some bar charts or something available. Okay, there are very less analytical reports available in your GUI. That is one of the drawback, right? And the main important thing, that is user cannot use GUI login by mobile or tablets. He always used to have the same system where GUI pad is installed. He always have to have that system in front of you, and then only he can be able to play the transaction. So there are so many drawbacks in the GUI screen. That's what we are talking about here. And that is why what SAP is decided to come with some of the things, some additional things in native business client. SAP came with NWBC. Now in NWBC also, SAP will not be able to overcome all the issues whatever there were in GUI. But at least native business client is web-based, right? Where user can easily log in from any system, he can log into from his personal laptop also with NWBC if the authorizations are these are provided. Also, somehow in NWBC is a role-based adoption. That means if user is logging, he can see only related transaction code in front of him, and it's not like a GUI navigation. This kind, he can see different tabs. Okay, left side tab, right side tab. We will jump into the system and I'll try to show you that things. But this is how at least user or SAP try to give something in the NWBC. Also, cockpits or dashboard kind of screens are available in cockpit or dashboards screens are available in NWBC. But still, although having this many things, still transaction, when the user is trying to log in through NWBC to SAP, the transaction look and feel is exactly like GUI. Okay, transaction look and feel is same as GUI. That means when we are saying, okay, CS01, the screen which is appearing here, let's say I'm creating a CO01 order. Okay, sorry. CO01. The screen which you are able to see it here, it will be exactly same in the NWBC. And now let's say if user is trying to log in to some iPad or some other screen. Okay, just it's taking some more time. I don't know. First time I'm executing the transaction. Okay, the screen what you are seeing here, it will exactly same in the NWBC. There is no any changes. So sometimes the user are facing some problems like in NWBC it's a web base. So in left corner he will be able to see something, and in the right corner he's getting something else. So that kind of screens are there, and still user are struggling so many problems. So it's not that much mobile friendly, I can say. So if user is trying to, execute the transaction by using any tablet or something, he will not be able to run this transaction properly with the help of NWBC. Although it's a web-based tool, but it's not that much good what we are actually user is expecting. So this is also one of the drawback. Also, still we do have multiple transaction code for create, change, display. So still user need to remember, and still there will be some different things available, different, that they on the dashboard on the left side, he will have a create, display, change, this kind of things, and he need to play transactions separately. So that things are still there in the NWBC that SAP was not able to, find out any alternative for that in NWBC. And that's why actually SAP worked more on that and came up with the Fiori application, where all the drawbacks what we are talking here, that will get fulfilled, that will get replaced or reduced in the Fiori. In Fiori, there will be only one tab available. Okay, I'll try to show you in Fiori. Okay, just a minute. What I'll do, guys, I'll try to show you one of the Fiori applications so that you will understand. Oh, I don't have Fiori. Yes, Fiori HANA. Okay, I'm logging with the same user ID. My user ID is, just a minute. I'm also first time logging for that system. That is why. Okay, I'm logging here. You can see here. Now here, if I'm a production planner, I do have a production planner role assigned, and only specific application I can see it here. Okay. And if I'm going here, if I want to create the PIR or something, I'll try to show you some standard application. Just a minute. I'm going to the maintain PIR, plan independent required. How user actually create the PIR. Okay. The look and feel, like here, user will be able to see in the SAP GUI screen, we need to play the transaction MD61, right? And based on that, we need to create the demand and all that things. But here we do have a different kind of facilities available where user can see, okay, there are different kind of plants, right? So here user can assign his own plant. Okay, and the default, this is not a standard setup, that's why we can see. I'll try to assign everything. User will go to the setting and he will assign the plant, specific plant for him. Just a minute, I need to go back to the application first. And okay, you are not assigned to any specific area. You are okay. You need to do some setup for him. Okay, in the user profile home page, default values. Okay, here now there is nothing actually in this system. I don't have any configuration available. He can assign his own company code and this thing, so that once he log in, only related company code information will become in front of him. In SAP GUI, that kind of facility was not available. So basically we do have this kind of three interfaces, and I just try to explain you what is the basic difference in that, and how SAP try to uh, cover all the drawbacks what were there in GUI that is now not there in SAP Fiori. So when we will go ahead for our session, we will try to run our scenarios with Fiori application in the advanced training, but in the basic training we will try to run our scenarios with GUI only. I'll try to show you the business network business client also. I'm first time logging into the system. That's the reason I'm getting some problems to log in over there. Okay, now guys, if you see here, okay, if you try to find the things, I'm just putting one more. Okay, I'm just a minute, guys. If you see, compare ECC versus S4HANA. Okay, versus, just a minute, your cloud. I'll put one more column, so that one more row. Just a minute. Okay, insert. I'm trying to put 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Okay. Then saying, try to compare ECC versus S4HANA versus S4HANA Cloud. With GUI, then NWBC and Fiori. If you try to compare in GUI, okay, when in ECC, GUI was available, NWBC also available, and Fiori also available. In SAP S4HANA, all things are available. So what we are talking about, the Fiori application, which is not just now launched by SAP in SAP S4HANA. It was there in SAP ECC also. Okay, but because this is one of the certification question. Okay, guys, it used to ask like when Fiori is applicable. So Fiori was applicable or available in SAP ECC also. Always we get confused, like there were no Fiori. So Fiori is always available, but there are very limited applications, and there were no analytical applications available. And the look and feel of any application is called HTML applications. Okay, the look and feel of that application is exactly same of your SAP transaction, but Fiori applications were available. In SAP S4HANA on cloud, we don't have GUI. Also, we don't have NWBC. In SAP Cloud, we only have a Fiori application available. And that is the next thing, like every time SAP is coming with some additional features, and SAP is recommending to go ahead with this kind of scenario, implementation methodology, where SAP himself actually asking business to go and work on the Fiori. Even you can do your configuration, SPRO configuration and everything with Fiori application now. Okay, so there are different applications coming up. Even there are, like, if you are talking about an advanced topic like DDMRP, PMRP, for that there is no SAP GUI transaction code available. Even if you want to do anything, you have to have only Fiori available. You have to do everything in the Fiori. Once we run the scenario, you'll come to know when we are running our DDMRP scenario, or when we are running our PMRP scenario, we are not going into GUI screen even. We no need to go in there. So any advanced topics are coming here, is coming with SAP Fiori application. And that is why SAP is saying now Fiori is now the future, right? Every user and every consultant has to explore and start working with this application. So guys, I just try to explain at very high level the GUI, drawbacks of GUI, how SAP tried to cover the drawbacks in NetWeaver business line, but still there were issues. That's I have kept it in a red. Now SAP tried to cover all the drawbacks, whatever there in NWBC and GUI with the Fiori application. Although Fiori applications are available in ECC and SAP S4HANA, that time actually when ECC was there, SAP was not really worked on the Fiori application that time. Now SAP extensively working on the Fiori application, and the cloud version is getting upgraded quarterly. That means every quarter SAP is coming with additional Fiori application, changes in the Fiori applications, bug and fixes with the Fiori application. And every new release, SAP S4HANA release, we are getting new more and more SAP Fiori applications. Guys, I'll stop here for a minute to know if you have any kind of questions on the any questions? Fiori, GUI, and NWBC. That's fine. There are some write-up. I'm putting it here, these write-up in the notes also. Okay, when you are going for the SAP certification, that kind of questions will be asked. Okay, on the this thing. That's why. What is user interface? What is user experience? Right. So this kind of write-ups. So user experience is nothing but it's a software perspective, okay, which describes the interface between user and device, right? That means GUI, what we are talking about. When user is logging into SAP, how user is logging? Through that GUI device. That's the user experience, user interface. But when we are talking about user experience, is little bit different. What is the look and feel what user is getting through that user interface? That is nothing but your user experience. That's why in Fiori we always hear about the user experience rather more than a user interface. It's a user interface, okay, but the user experience with that Fiori is really good. So it's related to the motivation and emotions of the user, not only just to access the SAP. So this kind of UX, UI, this kind of certification questions will be asked. Okay, what is the user experience? What is the user interface? Okay, so for that, I'll put that kind of write up over there. Also, this is one of the certification question on that kind of part. What are the different kind of user interface with user experience? What are the different kind of users available? Some users are occasional users, some users are expert users, some users are the developer. So what is the difference between occasional, expert, and developer? This kind of question also will be asked in the certification. Occasional users are logging to system very occasionally, maybe in the month once. Could be a CEO, okay, he's just checking the the whole balance sheet and profitability over there. But there are some expert users who are actually the technical consultant, sorry, the functional consultant or the power user who used to run SAP every day, every transaction they are running. Okay, and the developer is nothing but he is the consultant, maybe the functional consultant who used to work on SAP for all the authorizations with all the business requirement. It could be the functional consultant, it could be the ABAP consultant, or it could be the power user within the company. So he is having maybe more knowledge of SAP system, and he will be deal with different kind of transaction codes available in the SAP. So these kind of questions are also asked. So this is very high level description or the theory that I'm going to put it. Now what we will do, guys, now we will go in the system, or we will try to configure the system. Okay, but before that I just want to know if you have any kind of question on any write up or any any theory whatever we have discussed in this session. Any questions you can ask me before I'm jumping into the system, enterprise structure. In next session onwards, we will start configuring the enterprise structure. But today, what we will do, I will create the enterprise structure. The enterprise structure is same what we were always discussing. There is one plant, one production line, and one this thing. And I'll try to put it here. What kind of additional things also we need to configure in the system. It's not just you are creating the plant and storage location and done. We need to do something else that is related to finance, because PP module is majorly integrated with the finance, right? So we need to have a company code and this thing that we will now discuss it here. And the same enterprise structure, we will start configuring the system from the next session. Okay. Okay, so what I'll do first, I will take that enterprise structure and I'll put it here so that, just a minute, I just want to know where it is. Okay, this is the enterprise structure majorly we are going to create. So I'll do one thing, guys. I'll just copy this. And to create this kind of enterprise structure, we will go and see what we need to do. I'll put this it here. Now this is the plant that I am supposed to configure. Okay. For that, what are the basic things that we need to do it here? The first thing is at a very high level. What is the enterprise structure? What is the any idea, guys? What we need to do? We need to create one first company code, right? I'll put here company code. Then below that company code, we will create this plant, what we are talking about here. Okay. Plant. Then below that plant, we will create different storage locations, correct? I'll give this as a storage location. So what are the storage location? RM1, RM2, okay? RM1, then RM2, then RM0, right? These are the storage location we are supposed to configure. At the same time, we need to configure FG locations also. So I'll put it here. That is FG1, FG2, FG3, right? Maybe one more, that is delivery 1, DL1. We'll create this storage location, DL1. Now, this is more than enough to run our end-to-end cycles for the PP, right? Because this is what we were discussing. Okay, I have storage location, I have production line, I have delivery storage location and done, plant. But to do this, we may need to define some more things. Since we are supposed to cover our raw material purchase and all that, right? For that, what we will do, we will create one more purchasing organization. So if you try to link it below company code, we will have a plant. Okay, I'm just putting here. And for that plant, we will have one purchase organization that will be linked to company code also. Okay, and plant also will have a linkage of purchasing organization to company code. But to fulfill, okay, I'm having some ping. Let me see, guys. Okay, that's fine. Now, what else we needed? We are supposed to run our make to order scenario, right? For that, we may need one sales organization. Oh, sorry. I'll put this sales organization here. Sales organization. Below that sales organization, we have one DC, that is distribution channel. Below that distribution channel, we may have different kind of divisions. So this is actually division. Okay, this is the SD related enterprise structure, sales and distribution. How we will do, since we are supposed to create sales order and sales order delivery also, I decided to create one this enterprise structure also. This is the main thing that we need to run our end-to-end scenario in the system. Okay, and for that, what I'll do, I'll create only one block for that. Okay. And for that plant, I will have these storage locations. Now, apart from this, what we need on top of company code, we need to create the controlling area. Guys, see, when we were discussing yes, here, we need to have a GL account available, right? To have a GL account and secondary cost element to run, we need to have one controlling area. So on top of the company code, what we are doing, we are creating one controlling area. Basically, for that controlling area, what we are supposed to do, we are supposed to create one chart up account. Okay. Chart of account. In that chart of account, we will be having different GL accounts available, right? So I'll do one thing. This will be at the same level. So, okay, we will have assignment of controlling area and chart of account. Also, we need to create one fiscal year variant. Oh, sorry. Okay. And this controlling area will be assigned to your company code. So this many enterprise structure we should have available to run our end-to-end cycle in the SAP. Now what we will do, guys, in our next session, we will try to configure this enterprise structure, and that will be the assignment for you for rest of the week, so that you can also go and create your enterprise structure in the same fashion. Because when you are creating, there are so many challenges. Okay, we are just not running our PP cycle here. Okay, when you are talking about PP, for PP this much enterprise, I'll just give some different color. In this is material master. Okay, this is, oh sorry, this is SD. Those who have experience, they must know about this. This is FICO. So for to run PP cycle, this is more than enough. But we cannot run our PP end-to-end cycle without controlling chart of account, without GL account, without activities. Also, we cannot, issue the material to the our production line if raw material is not available. We can definitely go and create the raw material stock directly by initial stock upload by 561, but it's better to understand the end-to-end integration from MMPP, SDPP, FICO PP. We will try to create all the enterprise structure, all the related enterprise structure in the system. Once we are done, then we will start running this end-to-end cycle. What we discussed yesterday also, we'll try to run one end-to-end cycle, and then one by one, we will try to cover the different kind of scenarios. Okay. So in our next section, we will define our enterprise structure same way in the system. Guys, from next week, we are actually, we already got an access for the SAP server. We are jumping into the system and trying to configure everything. From next week onwards, I guess our session will not be a free. Okay, since we are trying to configure the system and everything, you can enroll as soon as possible. Okay, and you can reach out to our support team also if you need any kind of more information or anything related to the, if any issues for the enrollment or something. Okay, so next week, Saturday, the same time, we will have our next session where we will start doing the configuration. Okay, see you in the next session next week, same time. Meanwhile, bye bye for now. Have a great week ahead.